What is going on, everybody? Welcome back. We've got another non-Barago review to do today. Of course, if you missed the last video, we reviewed the mini champs Fernando Alonso from last season, specifically last season's Australian Grand Prix. At the time of me recording this video, we've just finished up this year's edition of the Australian Grand Prix, and it was pretty good, I must say. It was really good, actually. I really enjoyed Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen having a brake failure. I like that a lot. Anyway, today we are looking at a diecast that I'm very excited to review because there's a lot of things here that I've really never reviewed before or don't get to review all that often. So let's go down to the table because it's down there. You can barely see it. You can't see it, actually, because it's the 1/64th scale Alex Albon from 2023, the Williams FW45. This is very cool because there's a lot of things, I don't get to review all that often. 1/64 scales, I'll talk about those in a little bit. There's a lot to this diecast that is special, unique, kinda. I don't get to review diecasts like this all that often. Of course, Alex Albon, I've never reviewed and I don't own any Alex Albon diecasts up to this point. Part of that reason is when he was at Red Bull, I didn't like him all that much. I was a Daniel Kvyat fan. I thought he made more sense to be in the Red Bull when they dropped Pierre Gasly. Obviously, that was not realistic. That never would have happened, but I didn't think he did too well at Red Bull. Of course, he had the worst job ever, basically being Max Verstappen's teammate in his rookie F1 season. Alex Albon's rookie F1 season, of course. But I actually really like him now. He's probably one of, if not my favorite driver on the grid. I thought last year he had a really, really good season, had some really strong runs running for Williams. Of course, this season's gotten off to a sort of controversial start. If you watched Australia, you know what I'm talking about. Speaking of the Williams team, I don't get to review a lot of these either. I only own 2 Williams diecasts. How many of y'all remember these from 2018? Lance Stroll and Sergei Sorokin. Who? Yeah, how many of y'all remember Sergei Sorokin? He scored 1 point because I think Romain Grosjean got disqualified or something, and that elevated Sergei into the top 10. But yes, I only own these Williams cars because for a long time, only mini champs made Williams, and they were always really expensive. But I think Spark are making Williams this year, at least in 1/64. I think 1/43 as well. I saw a comment on that on Instagram. Speaking of 1/64, I promise you we'll get into this video in a sec. I did get a couple 1/64 scale cars. Whoa! Last year, I think, or maybe it was even back in 2022. But I never really ended up reviewing them because I just put the Red Bulls on screen, but I'm immediately taking off. The George Russell car, I did make a video about this car. It was broken. It shipped to me broken, so this wheel just can fall off really, really easily, and then there's that too. This whole rear axle is messed up. And then this Lewis Hamilton, I actually did film a review of this car, but I never uploaded it because a couple other videos kind of took my interest away from this. And this one actually suffers from the same issue that Fernando Alonso mini champs had, where it just doesn't sit correctly. It looks almost like a little bit skewed, like the whole thing is just built wrong. So I actually lost a lot of interest in these 1/64 scale cars because the first 2 that I tried to review did not end up being that great. I think the Red Bulls are fine. I don't know. I tried to make a YouTube short out of these and it just didn't really come together. But this is going to be a new chance to review the 1/64 scale. I think the quality has gotten a little bit better. They have the T-cam now. The old ones didn't have that. So I've wasted some time. Let's just dive into this. The presentation is pretty much exactly like a regular Spark diecast. The box looks exactly the same as a traditional Spark. I really like that. They've even got the little card sort of thing in the back there. So here it is. Alex Albon. from the Bahrain Grand Prix last year. I feel like this is the lowest ever finishing position I've seen on one of these boards. They're usually like, oh, Mercedes 3rd place, or Red Bull winner from the Dutch Grand Prix or something like that. 10th place at the Bahrain Grand Prix was this car. You're just giving it a good look over. And we'll take it off the base. They still have the little twisty thing at the bottom here. Comes good. It was stuck on there pretty good. There we go. And let's take a closer look at Alex Albon. And here it is. It looks pretty much exactly the same as before. Filming 1/64 scale cars are kind of weird because I'm not used to my hands just taking up so much space on the camera, so I'm gonna have to do a little bit with editing in this one. Hey, it actually kind of sits right on the fucking desk. It's actually built correctly. It does teeter a little bit, but that's just more because it's got, you know, little axles in it. It's more like a Hot Wheels than the 143 scale cars. And yeah, so I'm actually already really excited that it's freaking built correctly. Let's do a little bit of a tug on the tires just to see, just to make sure everything feels pretty good. 1/64 scale is kind of, for me, I mean, I think it's kind of the universal scale for model cars or toy cars, because that's basically what this is. Hot Wheels are all 1/64 scale. The traditional NASCAR diecasts are 1/64 scale. It took an incredibly long time to get to the point where we're getting 1/64 scale diecasts for F1. I've only ever reviewed had two proper reviews up to this point, not counting the George Russell one. And I gotta say, I mean, from what I'm seeing, it looks pretty good. The detail is about as good as I think you can expect from a 1/64 scale car. They're not going to be able to do the winglets and the little antennas and all that stuff like they do on the 143 scale. There's a little bit of some weird, I think, painting going on. You can see it kind of right on the air duct right there. I'm guessing that this isn't really painted like the 143 scales. It's more of like a wrap. You can kind of see the way the light kind of reflects off of it. It doesn't reflect quite like how every other diecast I've ever reviewed does. It looks a little bit, I don't even know how to really describe it. Bumpy, I guess. I don't know. But it looks pretty good. I'd say it's a pretty high quality print for what it is. Let's take a close look at the rear wing, because this is something I'm actually pretty impressed in. It's actually detailed. They've painted the exhaust, and there's even little sponsors right under where the light is, or under the exhaust where the light is, which very good detail, I think. No sponsors on the inside of the rear wing. I don't know if that's the way that Williams had it last year. I don't think Williams really has a lot of sponsors, so that might just be how it is, or perhaps they couldn't get the insides painted. But I'm actually pretty impressed with how this one is turned out. I'll probably have to show a picture of this, but I mean, the decal, the printing quality is just really good. Like, that Duracell sticker is just crystal clear. It isn't fuzzy or low quality. Like, it's very obviously Duracell. The graphics on this car aren't super fuzzy. You can't really see anything on the halo, but it's because it's so tiny. Like, it's not unclear because it's fuzzy. It's unclear because it's just too tiny to read. So I think that is really, really good. And they still got some of these molding details, panel details, really, really nice to see. With 1/64 scale cars, it's very easy to just not have any detail because it's going to be so small. No one will be able to see it. So I'm pretty glad that this car actually has that detail. They've still put in the effort of doing that. And another thing worth mentioning, the tires are all fully detailed. This is something that some of the older Spark 1/64 scale cars, like that Nico Hülkenberg, don't have any details on the tires. This one does, and so that is pretty cool. Let's do a comparison of the Max Verstappen 1/64 scale that I didn't review previously. Get this off the base. I don't know if I've ever actually even had this car off the base. It's stuck pretty good to it. Holy cow. I think the Red Bulls actually look really, really good. The 1/64 scale Red Bulls. Spark did a great job with these. You can see the T-cam is not there on the Red Bull. It's not there intentionally. They didn't put it on there on these old cars. Old, I say, like it's not from 2022. It is a different mold. They didn't just reuse the same thing. I wouldn't have expected Spark to do that, but it is nice to see. It is a completely different mold that the Williams car uses. Yeah, all around, just good to see. I like that there's the driver figure in there as well, because that's another thing that they probably didn't have to put in. It's nice that they did. Barago don't even put them in all the time, so it's nice that this is in there. And the detail, I mean, you can see the seat belts down in there, so they've put some detail on this thing. Don't think there's any printing on the steering wheel, but I'm guessing it would have been particularly difficult to get it on there at such a small scale. But I'm going to say, I mean, I really like this car. I don't have much to say when I really like something. I'd say there's pretty much nothing really wrong here. The price, maybe. I think the price, this is probably more expensive than a Barago car. But I think you're getting kind of Spark level detail, which is nice. Barago 143s don't have the detail almost like this one does. Here's the Lewis Hamilton. I never gave this a proper review. The whole thing to me looks kind of skewed down the front, and these front wheels don't even spin correctly. You can see I'm trying to spin it, just doesn't. I think it's for both of them. Yeah, you see, I'm trying, but it's just not happening. The rear wheels spin fine, but yeah, and it doesn't sit correctly on my desk here. So yeah, these ones move just all right. I think there's another brand of, oh yeah, and so they're actually axled together. So when you move one, the others move too. So yeah, this first wave of Spark 164s, just total failure. For me personally, I think. So I'm very glad that it's come a long way. It's come a very, very long way. I think there's another brand that does 1/64 scale F1 cars now, Mini GT, I feel like. Let me know if that rings a bell. Maybe I'll check out one of their cars sometime soon so we can do like a proper comparison, because Mini Champs doesn't make 1/64 scale cars. I don't think they'll ever do. I don't think they ever will. And so, yeah, but this is a very nice car. Alex Albon, Williams, if he didn't crash his car and steal his teammate's car, I think we wouldn't be looking at him a little bit negatively so far this season. I thought Williams had come a long way. They were a team that I previously just didn't really give a crap about. I know it's an iconic livery, but I never really liked the Williams Martini livery. I thought it was kind of shitty. And after that, they just had some pretty terrible years. So I didn't care about this team at all. I thought last year was really awesome. And now they've got Alex Albon and the only American United States driver on the grid, and Logan Sargent. Maybe I should have picked up both of their cars in this scale, but I skipped out on the Sarge just for now. Maybe if Mini GT made a Williams, we'll take a look at it. But yeah, I like this car a lot. Definitely recommend it. What do you guys think? It doesn't fit on the base very well. I don't like that. What do y'all think of this car? Let me know in the comments. And there are more videos on the way. I don't know when they'll be out, but I have ordered a few more cars, and I've got some other interesting stuff. We'll be doing a proper Spark versus Mini Champs comparison sometime in the future. So let me know what y'all think of this car. I shouldn't have put it off the base. We got to put them all together. What do y'all think of 1/64 scale F1 cars? Do you have any? Did they show up kind of shitty and broken like mine did? Or have you had a lot better fortune? I guess I shouldn't really say a lot. I mean, of the 5, 3 of them were good, because the Red Bulls were good. I should have reviewed those first. It would have saved the video series, probably. But that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you in the next one. I said it was an episode, even though it's not, because this is not a series.